that McCaffrey said after the game he calls Jordan Mason Mariano Rivera. He's a closer. Little odd to just ride McCaffrey all day, and then when it comes to winning time, put the game away. Buck Mason gets the handle.
Well, if we were going to talk, tonight's been a happy show. Win the NFC West on December 15th. If we were going to be critical or just might not want to do that all the time, is he overriding this guy? It's kind of crazy. Like, I understand you traded the farm for him. You've idolized his father. You probably, have known the family since you were a kid. You could have Christmas with them and you wouldn't even notice the difference between them and your own family. It does seem a little over aggressive the way they're riding Christian when every single time the backup comes in, he's fine. We're not saying like Christian just split carries, but like for every 7 of his, maybe give 2 to the other guy just to give the guy a breather. He's riding this guy like he's a high school player, and this guy's going to Alabama, and it's like, why wouldn't I give it to him? It's like, Kyle, fucking Jordan Mason clearly fits the scheme. It's 3 straight weeks of like, God, Kyle, he runs his ass off. He runs hard. I understand he's a rookie, so you never know when he's going to fumble. I would say that's the number one thing that probably like coaches are hesitant. Like he hasn't proven. They're stripping, ball security.
But Johnny put him in the game in a 1-score game.
Well, was just Christian out of gas? He'd had 75 touches. I don't know.
Well, I mean, maybe let's manage the gas in the engine a little bit then.
It seems like they're riding this guy like he's Walter Payton. And I like Christian McCaffrey.
That's why you don't want him to ride him, because you like Christian.
He's been awesome. But I do think Kyle's treating him a little bit like you would Walter Payton in his prime, Adrian Peterson in his prime, or like LaDainian Tomlinson in his prime. He's a really good player. But like he can come off the field like every 3rd series for 2 steps, right? And he does not. He did not come out of the game in the first half. Did 24 enter the game till the 4th quarter?
He got a game right after I tweeted an image of an invisible person and said, "This is how Kyle sees Buck Mason." So
he definitely did not come in the first half.
No, he did not have a carry in the first half. McCaffrey had,
I would say the craziest part about this guy is for 5 straight years, Shanahan, and he's obviously had good running backs. I would say no one of the name recognition.
19 first half touches.
He never treated any of these other guys like Christian McCaffrey.
We didn't like him. He didn't love him. Christian's one of his best receivers.
I get that.
Fantastic receiver.
But I'm not saying he can't throw him the ball. I'm just saying, like, the 4th series of the game, like, hey, how about just throw Mason in there for 2 snaps? Even if you don't give him the ball, call pass plays. But, like, Christian's just in there nonstop. He treats him like you would a right guard. Hell, they even rotate the guard. Remember, it's like Burford, every 5 series, he comes out of the game for a breather. They did that for like the first 10 weeks. McCaffrey's like, no, we're fucking going down swinging. I feel like he plays more than Trent Williams in the game. McCaffrey's in the game. It's like, Jesus. He was getting peppered tonight.
Well, he doesn't seem like many of his runs end out of bounds. Maybe it's because of how solid he is. All of the collisions are just, it's like 2 head-on. I mean, I guess every football collision is a head-on collision, but his are just brick walls. Feels like he would, if he took the hit backwards, absorb some of the contact, maybe it would be, but he is just a brick wall. So he
got peppered in that.
Everybody just stops right in their spot. He had 26 carries for 108 yards. He had 6 catches for 30 yards. He had 8 targets. So, you can get hit on a target, even if it's not a catch. That can be a collision.
The one that
actually there was 2 dudes were on his back.
Yeah, he got.
So I think it's one of those things. Everybody universally, the week after we watched Debo get hurt, could you?
Well, he would treat it differently if Elijah Mitchell was there.
I know, we saw that, but it's just illogical. If you're going to give Buck Mason, I don't know if he knows that's his nickname, but if you're going to give him carries in a 1-score game at the end of the game, how about just give him a couple earlier and then just take a little heat off of Christian? And what about also preparing him for the possibility there may be a quarter where he has to play? It happened already this year, right?
Guy, he's already been hurt. He had a serious knee injury. Like, no one's questioning the guy's toughness. He's proven it back in Stanford. The guy's a war daddy. He's tough. I would treat him a little bit like a modern day running back where we have some other pitches for some other guys, especially when you have this young guy who honestly I think looks fucking sweet. That run at the end of the game, and I get it was the end of the game, but you just kind of had me thinking, like, God, if this guy got some more carries, could he bust some longer runs? He runs violently. Honestly, he reminds me of, remember when Pete had Chris Carson and he was just so violent and they had violent running backs? You know, because Christian he runs into collisions, but I wouldn't call him a violent player. I feel like Buck, I know his name's Jordan, but runs with like a, motherfuckers, you think I'm an undrafted free agent? I'll make you pay. That's probably why Kyle likes him and the team likes him.
He's like, guys, you aren't you watching Brock Purdy? I can be your Brock Purdy running backs. There's nobody else. You got nobody else. Let me do this.
Well, think about what that guy's bringing to the table, that a guy from LSU who was viewed when he was drafted, and everyone, you and I reached out to people, like everyone liked him. Like, that's a hell of a pick. You and I talked to John Lynch on the sideline. He's like, in training camp, he's like, we never thought he was going to be that guy's awesome. I'm like, fuck, me too. I watched the highlights. I'm like, what a pick, John. What a pick. All of a sudden, that guy can't touch Mason, right? Clearly. I mean, we see the hierarchy. Like, Mason is getting playoff touches, guy. How many? We don't know. But, I mean, he's the guy. If McCaffrey rolls an ankle or whatever, who knows? I could see Kyle giving 75 carries to Christian in a playoff game.
That's Kyle's wet dream right there.
I just think that feels a little overkill tonight, especially when it's like, God, you're way better in this team.
But it's just like it's the Debo game. Last week, everyone was telling me Giants 21-0. It's only the first half. Brady's got comebacks, and today Kyle. And to be fair to Kyle, he could easily argue, look, guys, it's a 2-score game. I mean, what Seattle scores, bam, all of a sudden it's a 1-score game, and I'm trying to win today. I got to go with McCaffrey, but you obviously trust. I just go back to we always like to say coaches tell you what they think by their actions. You've said that a lot. Well, if Jordan Mason's getting carries in a 1-score game where you have to pick up the first down, you end the game, then I think your actions say you do trust him a little bit, or you're just out of other options and something wrong with Christian. One of the two.
Yeah, see, but the Debo thing last week was argument like how you should use him, right? And for injury, I'm not even arguing Christian McCaffrey injuries. I'm just arguing the best way to keep guys fresh.
Yeah.
Right? Like, is McCaffrey fresher and more explosive in the fourth quarter if instead of having 20 touches through 3 quarters, he has 14? Because Mason got a couple, got 3, and instead
7? Can we split the difference, make it 17?
You threw passes to Ayuk. I understand Christian wants to play. We all want Christian to play. We're all glad he's here. But I think treating him like Earl Campbell in his prime, it feels a little nuts. And part of it's a little unlike the Niners have operated, I would say, for 5 years with their running backs. And I get he's more famous but Mozart was really good for them, right? When he was humming in 19, they gave balls to multiple people. They just kind of rotated. Maybe that's an Anthony Lynn thing. Maybe Mike McDaniel is more of an equitable coach when it came to throwing guys in there.